joining us now to break it all down. Fox News contributor Karl Rove. I'm not somebody, Karl, that ever gets ahead of an election. We both know the weekend before an election, who knows what's going to come out. But it's certainly the economy, how hard left the Democrats have gone, their slate of candidates. How do you see it, at least? What is it building into?
Yeah. Look, I thought that was interesting. Steve Ratner, who's no friend of Donald Trump's, he was Barack Obama's auto czar, wrote a piece in the New York Times pointing out all these econometric models of the election are today forecasting a Trump victory. But I'd say we got to be cautious about this. Cannot get overconfident, cannot believe that because the models predict that today, that that's what's going to happen. Because if you look at it over time, the economy and who you vote for president is a non-linear relationship. That's what we call it in polling terms. What that means is that an incumbent absolutely gets punished for a bad economy. If you're Herbert Hoover, you're in deep trouble in 1932. On the other hand, a good economy is not necessarily rewarded as much or consistently, particularly if you don't do three critical things in an election as an incumbent. Talk about your success, talk about the next step, and disqualify your opponent as representing a threat to that economic growth. Can I give you one real-life example that you and I have been through?
Yeah. I love the whiteboard's back. Thank goodness. Where's the whiteboard been?
Unemployment rate in October of 2000 was 3.9%. Today it's 3.6. The real GDP growth in 2000 was 2.97. Growth last year in 2019, 2.97. Now, this was the Clinton-Gore third election. This was Al Gore running to be the third term of Bill Clinton. And they had a good economy. Now, it was slowing down. We were in a recession by the next March. But it was a good economy as we approached the election, and the econometric models were forecasting a victory for Al Gore. But he didn't talk about it. He sure as heck never talked about what the next steps were for Clinton Gore. And he never succeeded in disqualifying George W. Bush, who proactively talked about what was necessary to spread prosperity more broadly, which was to cut the taxes and lower the regulation and focus on teaching every child to learn to read. So we got to be, the election is about whatever the candidates say it's about, as long as the people accept it. And if the president is going to use the economy to his advantage, he has to do those three things: talk about it, explain the next steps, and disqualify the Democrat opponent.
I'd also like to see the Republican Party unite, and I want to nationalize this election as a big choice election. Green Deal, Mullahs and Iran get $150 billion, or the Trump success. Deregulation, lower taxes, safety, security abroad. Simple.
Sometimes an incumbent wants it to be about little things. President Trump has to make it about big things in order to overcome what he's facing.
Are we better off than we were 2.5 years ago? Yes, we are.
Yep.
Karl Rove, good to see you.